Alright, here's something pretty special. While this isn't a complete ration, it's just one component, one can from an old ration, I still thought it warranted its own video. Hopefully this is going to be a short one too. And part of what makes this special is that this is going to be the oldest thing I've ever opened up on camera. I recently did an old MCI or C-Ration from 1964, which at the time was the oldest thing I'd ever opened and reviewed, and this one is actually quite a bit older than that one. And what this is a B unit can. It's actually from the Korean War era. I don't know how well you can read the stamp here, but it does have a date stamp on it of 3/52, meaning that this was canned in March of 1952. And I'm filming this in March of 2017, which means that this month this can is celebrating its 65th birthday. To put that in perspective, not only was the Korean War going on at the time, but if this can was a person, this month, at least the way it used to be, this can would be able to retire. And at the time that this was made, C-Rations were in production, but I believe that this actually came from a different ration. It's one of the more kick-ass names for a ration that the US has ever made, the Food Packet Individual Assault. They were produced between 1948 and 1956 as a kind of like a lighter combat version of the C-Ration. And I do want to say a big thank you because this can was sent to me by Steve1989 MRE Info. Very generous gift, pretty old piece of ration history right here. He also sent along the MCI that I did recently, which itself contained a B unit. Is a B1 unit. And just for comparison, here's the B1 unit from an MCI from 1964. And you can see part of the thing was the assault part of this. It had to be a lighter ration. And so even though everything was in cans, they just made it smaller and there's less in it. Steve did a review of a full Food Packet Individual Assault. I'll put a link to that below. And that one contained a B unit that looked a lot like this one from the same company. It was actually a little bit older, it was from 1951. And the difference was his was crackers and cookie. This one is just B unit crackers. So it's not going to be the most exciting thing to check out, except for the fact that it's 65 years old. And let's take a look here. The can itself is actually in really nice shape. It just has some minor scraping of the paint on it, the olive drab paint. But no rust, no real pitting or anything like that. And it has the key on the bottom for opening it. I am tempted, obviously, something like this, to just keep this and store it away just because it's such an old and rare kind of thing. But since we are making a video, and it is a chance to kind of put this out there, we're going to go ahead and open it up and take a look at it. The other thing I find interesting about the can is the seal on it here. It's very old school. You have the tab for the key, but you can also see it's basically soldered. It doesn't look like a modern can. It looks like something that was done by hand. And I think that's a pretty cool facet of this can, too. So we have the 352 on top, and we also have CAR stamped in there, which is the name of the company that packed it, CAR Consolidated Biscuit Company in Chicago. And I guess all that's really left to do is to go ahead and open this and see how these crackers have done for the past 65 years. I'll take the key off the bottom. I'm just kind of nervous doing this. I feel like I'm doing something wrong. Like I stole something from a museum. But we'll lift the tab. And we'll go ahead and listen for a hiss. I'm hoping there's going to be a nice hiss coming out of this one. I should say going into it. There it is. All I can really smell is the can because of the fresh clipping of the metal. And you can see the paper in there. I guess we've got this started, so I guess we'll go ahead and do this. It would have been nice to open this from the bottom and keep it in displayable condition, but we got to do it the right way. Wow, look at that. Can is perfect on the inside. Looks like it was just packed yesterday. And look at these crackers. Wow, they look perfect. They smell good too. I do have to take that back about the perfect. There is a little bit of discoloration around here. I think you can see that. That looks like it might be mold, which is, it's kind of surprising because everything about this really does look perfect. The can is in perfect shape. It had a great seal. They look and smell pretty fresh. Let's see, maybe the second one doesn't have that. Yeah, this one's a little bit better. I mean, I'm trying to think if it has to do with just rubbing against the top of the can, even though the can itself is perfectly silver. I don't know, but despite the fact that these are 65 years old, I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to at least try these. You can see they have salt on them, and they smell like crackers. There's maybe a slight bit of staleness to them, but it just smells like a really hearty saltine. They're not crumbling or anything. It's hard to believe these are this old. Alright, and there they are. I'm going to go ahead and try these out, but since this is such a special, kind of a rare opportunity for me, and since these are so old, I'm going to actually introduce a new piece of equipment that I have. I recently got this old mess kit. Pretty standard. I mean, everybody's got one of these. They're not hard to find. What makes this one special is it's from 1959. So although it's not as old as the crackers, about 7 years newer, it's still from around that same time. And the thing I really like about this, I got this for, I think it was $3 at a flea market in Pennsylvania. I tried to talk them down to 2, but stuck with a 3, and I still think it's pretty good. What I really like about it is it still has its original label on it. Not 100% intact, but it's still there. It says Pan Mess Kit Corrosion Resisting Steel. So I'm probably not going to want to use this too much because I don't want to end up washing it so many times that comes off. But I thought it would be the perfect thing to have these crackers in. And now comes the moment of truth. 65-year-old crackers. Basically, these could be considered the grandfather of these, the standard MRE crackers. Still really crispy. Like I said, you can see the salt on there. Let's try this out. Oh, yeah, you definitely get the salt on. I remember the really early MRE crackers actually had salt on them. Even though they have salt in them, they don't really have it on top anymore. This is really like a real saltine. You can kind of taste how it's been baked. Nothing really tastes off on it. It does have a little bit of a, I don't even want to say stale, but something a little bit old about it. Maybe it infused just the slightest bit of the something from the can. It's really good though. It's actually amazing. It's kind of amazing to think that not only was this packed during the Korean War, but it was actually even before like the Honeymooners were on TV. Here's that one that was on the top with its little bit of a discoloration. Like I said, it kind of, my first guess is that it's mold. Over here it looks even more like it. It's not as discolored, but it seems to be something on the cracker. But it's just so amazingly preserved. And it was only on that top one. The rest of them look perfect. And they're so thick and they're not even falling apart. I don't taste anything off. They're obviously not rancid. And since this only came with the crackers, just to make it a little bit more fair, I'm going to put on a little bit of this chunky peanut butter from an MRE. This is much newer. This is from 2015. But we'll marry something 65 years old with something 2 years old. Just for the sake of having something on it. The worst part about that is the thickness of the peanut butter, just making you thirsty. The cracker itself is great. I think you could put these out on a tray with some cheese and serve it at a party, and people have no idea that they're eating 65-year-old crackers, I think they would probably be a little upset with you when you told them. But these are awesome. These are great. It's like having a time machine for one small, tiny little aspect of 1952. Just sealed in here and waiting all this time. And just one last thing for comparison, I showed you the B1 unit from the MCI. I also have a B3 unit, which I think is from a later one, and it is closer in size to this can. Actually, it's the same size as this can. But this one is crackers and candy, and I might do a video for this one too. No date on it, but I know it's nowhere near as old, probably from the 70s. So that was a look at a B unit of crackers from 1952. Huge thanks to Steve1989 for sending this to me, and thank you for watching.